Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best value for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems. David Beard, CRM Principal, and Jeff Richards, Head of Training Program Development for Sage CRM, spend time chatting with customers, resellers, and others about Sage CRM in action around the globe. Across 3 episodes, we talk with Amanda Markham, the CRM Director for the US-based Ethosystems, who specialize in delivering CRM and accounting solutions into the construction and related industries. In this episode, Amanda dives deeper in how she makes CRM and back office tools talk together and the value this brings to the contractors she speaks to in whatever industry they work in, and rounds up the whole story on bringing efficiency and data capture improvements through the use of Sage CRM to customers right across the country. What keeps you busiest and has done for the last few years?
Out of these three groups I talk about, I am busiest with the service contractors. Those guys keep me really busy, and that particular world keeps me very busy because they have, anytime you've got small jobs don't take as much time to run. They don't need as many people, but you got to make as much money as possible on them, right? So they become very critical, and their workflows usually need the most work. We need to sit down and really flush out what is it that you want to do with this tool. The other groups, and I'm not to say that GCs don't have unique needs, they sure do. Each one does. But typically you're dealing with a larger sales cycle there. It's a slower sales cycle. You are looking to construct a $2.5 million or $20 million building. That's a different world. Believe it or not, their needs are way simpler because it's a central depository for them, but the actual workflow around it isn't that complex. So really, it's when you get into those specialty contractors, your service contractors, anyone that's specializing in anything typically has more unique needs. So that is where we spend all of our time. Is we have this one version that we can show you and say, here's the baseline. Those are the folks that need help on top of the baseline.
One of the things that Jeff and I talk about a lot is the evolution of ownership of CRM. We probably phrase it differently sometimes, but it's the idea about you start somewhere and then you don't know where you're going to end up many a time. Yes. Do you have that situation as well? You do. Tell me some more about how that looks in that business.
So I like to laugh. It always happens to us. I'm always invited in, typically by the business development manager, whoever's in charge of sales, right? We all know as CRM people, our typical first contact is sales. Because I'm talking to people that already own a Sage accounting product, typically, I am usually being contacted by the accountant as well. So they're usually coming in to say, hey, we have this, sales wants this. Do they talk to each other? So they get me that initial invite. So my initial conversations are usually strictly on the sales side, and it's all about what sales needs. And it never fails. Before we ever go live, customer service has entered the room, always. Somebody in customer service, whether it's tech support, whether it's actually the person in the background, their IT person that's taking the tickets, or it's truly like the AP clerk who is in charge of doing their aging calls, that they're like going out and doing collections. But it never fails that before we even get live with our sales group, someone from customer service has entered, and they need to know about how they're going to use CRM. Now we're going to roll it out usually to a whole nother division and how that's going to work.
And is that something you stoke an interest in, or does it come literally from within? People see what's going on and go, hey, I could use that.
So I would tell you 7 years ago, I was stoking that interest. I needed that phase 2, that phase 3. I can tell you today, a lot of times we're being careful with what we say because we want to get through phase 1 and we want to get all of that done before we go into phase 2. And I don't want people complicating my conversations. So I'm usually trying to keep quiet about what we can do until we've gone live with the first group. I don't know if that's the right answer, but.
Well, it is the answer, so I'm happy to hear that. What integration points, particularly into accounting, but feel free to riff off anywhere else, what makes sense for those businesses? What do they need to see, push, pull, etc.?
So this is my favorite question because I get asked usually when I'm asked to come in and do a demo. I'm looking for integration with Sage 300 CRE. Well, what does that mean? What does the word integration mean, right? I have a different definition. I guarantee Jeff has a different definition than I do. We all have different, David, you're going to have a different one. We all have a different idea of what we think we mean when we use that word. So what we've come up with as our definition of integration to Sage 300 CRE, Sage CRM will talk back and forth with Sage 300 construction and real estate. What we do there is usually from just a purely accounting standpoint. We're going to make a connection between AP and AR. So what that means for us as CRM users, when I'm in Sage CRM, I can go to a customer's record and I'm going to see their billing history. I'm going to see everything that we have billed them. I'm going to see their aging. I get to see a total, my favorite thing, I see a total year to date of what they're worth to me. I can't tell you how important that is for a specialty contractor. To be able to bring up the person that's calling you and keeps yelling at you every day, to bring their record up and realize that their total worth to you is $5,000, you might want to move on. That's gold, you know?
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's a harsh reality. That whole concept of being able to give people the freedom to sack customers.
Yes.
Is that something you design in your design of the CRM, Amanda, or is this you're surfacing data from CRE into CRM?
We are taking data from CRE into CRM. The majority of the time, we're simply displaying it there. We are not actually hitting tables. So we're really just displaying for anyone that cares. We aren't really bringing the data in. We are simply displaying it. The idea being we're trying to give people visibility into the accounting package that they normally would never have. Usually sales would have to contact someone on accounting to say, does this customer still owe us? Have they made their payments? What change orders do they have? So let me keep going on the integration points a little bit, because in my world, we do a little bit more than just the accounting, and it really matters for these contractors. So on the accounting side, we'll bring the billing history in for customers. Vendors, we bring in your invoice history on a vendor. Why does that matter? When we talk about like the GCs are going to keep track of their subs, the subs are the guys that are actually, they're supplying the little bits of work. They can actually bring up then the history with that subcontractor. They can see not only what opportunities were those subs involved with, they also see the invoice history. So they see what kind of work they've given the sub over the years. So that's really beneficial. The other two big points for these groups that we're talking about, general contractors and specialty contractors, typically they're still running jobs. And when we say something is a job, there is a project management module in Sage 300 CRE, and all of their jobs are run through there. All their job costing is back there. Estimating connects to that. So that's really important information. What we do on the CRM side is we pull that job detail back. And we also can create a job, which is super cool. So what that means, this is the cool part. So what that means is your business development guys can go out, they can bid work, and when they sell that work, they can click a button in Sage CRM and the job itself gets created in Sage 300 CRE. We create a PO rec file and we create an estimate contract that gets installed. And that's gold for those guys, because that's a lot of information that they don't have to rekey. We do the same thing for those service guys. We can create work orders in the service management module, or we could just bring that work order information back and display it. All of this is really important for these folks to hear that we can do. There are not any other CRMs, and let me say that again, there are not any other CRMs out there that can do that with Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate, Sage 100 Contractor, or hopefully Sage Intact for Construction.
You're enabling the specific processes and you're leveraging or drawing out the specific tool sets inside a CRE, to use that example. But CRM is the operating tool, the levers to pull, that sort of thing.
It is. We become really the middle bit. We want to be the central middle bit. We're sexier looking. We look better. We're web-based. You can get us on the phone. You can get us on your iPad. I need those team members to go into CRM to do their work, whether it's getting the information on where their job's at or whether it's tracking what they're bidding. I want them in CRM doing that. I don't want them in Sage 300 doing that. I don't want them other places. So that's really our goal, is how do I keep the majority of the team in this one safe, easy to use spot?
I'm going to end this on that lovely happy note because everyone's smiling and everyone's very pleased with that. Amanda, it's been a delight to talk to you. Your passion brimmeth over.
I have a question about the future. In terms of integrations with different products, whether it is Sage 300 CRE or Intact. You've got solutions to be able to be able to bring everything together. What do you see? What do you want CRM to do? What do you want CRM to do in the future? What do you think is the most important thing that we should be putting into the roadmap to make your life better?
Okay, I'm the Amanda answer. I'm going to give you the Amanda answer first. That is completely separate from Ethosystems and everything I just talked about. The thing I would love to see us do, I want to see us build out the marketing side more. I definitely want I want to see some more development on that marketing side of CRM. It's the one place that I think we fall short of against some of the other CRMs. And so I have some ideas there. There's some very construction specific CRMs that have come out since that have very cool marketing pieces. I would love to see how we could work with that.
Those sorts of ideas would be great. We can schedule a session and capture some of those ideas to be able to do that. How are you going to edit that, David? I don't know.
I don't. Sorry.
So what's the ethos answer then?
So and to answer that question for Ethosystems, I think the right. Sorry, I'm trying to give you your edit point. I believe. What's the right answer for ethos?
Usually
I know.
gut is the right.
I think that where I see CRM going for us right now is we are really aiming to look at our client base needs to get to the cloud. And I know it's an overused phrase. I know it's very cliched at this point. We've already said it so many times. Construction is still not in the cloud. Not really. Very, very few are. And so that's where we're trying to go.
What's their definition of cloud? Because for many people, it's just, I just don't want the box in my office. I'll have it somewhere else, please. Okay, fine.
That's all it is. Yeah. They don't want the box anymore, but they are starting to understand the difference between a true cloud package where you can push out all of the upgrades and you push out all of that versus just I'm trying to get it hosted somewhere else. Okay. So they're starting to get the difference, and there seems to be more and more I want to go to the cloud. And so when I look at Sage CRM, and we kind of already hit on this, but I look at Sage CRM and I need Sage CRM to be ready with better API connectivity and that type of thing, because we're going to be put in that situation where we need to connect more and more and more to cloud-based applications. And we're not going to be able to rely on having server-side things done necessarily. So I think where I see Sage CRM needing to go, and it sounds to me like it's already going there, you're already doing it. I would need it to move in that direction, because I know Sage Intact for construction is my next move. I am actively right now working on an integration between Sage CRM and that. And I think more and more Procore, just going to drop that name on here for anyone that's listening. If that name will pop some ears up if you're on the construction side. We're looking at that. Like, wouldn't that be cool if we could connect to Procore? But we need our API to be there for that. And that would be really cool. That's a project management tool that most people use. It's cool.
Well, and then I'm sure if you've read any of Jeff's material online, heard any of our briefings, it's absolutely what the story is for the product in the coming year. It has been for the last year and a bit, and it continues to be so, doesn't it, Jeff?
Yes, it's certainly where we want to be able to take the product. We've put in since 2019 R2 extensive investment in the product development of the new REST APIs, which continued into 2021 R1 as well. So we're extending the APIs, we're making them be able to run anywhere, do anything, speak to anything within the cloud as well. And actually we have a deploy anywhere product, really. If you want to go, if you don't want to go, if you want to run it on your own box, you can. But if you want to run it on something like Azure, you can.
That's cool. That's what I think they're looking for. That's what we're looking for.
So I think I'm going to end this on that lovely, happy note, because everyone's smiling and everyone's very pleased with that. Amanda, it's been a delight to talk to you. Your passion brimmeth over. You've been listening to Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems.